standards, which we are lacking as a culture right now in a society, and we do need standards. That's something that I think is paramount.
Do you think that the community can function as a form of algorithm, like the human consciousness, so we don't have to rely on like algorithmic code? We can let the people somehow decide together?
I don't know what that looks like.
Like a jury? I mean, we have a jury system at
Like a
Minds.
jury?
I say we liberally, but because Bill's been running the company, not me. But yeah, there's a jury. Like if something gets up for banned, then and they want to appeal the act, it'll go to like a group of people to decide.
That's an interesting concept. What kind of jury? Like a grand jury that would be potentially impaneled?
It's a randomized set of active users who aren't connected to each other to try to decrease bias. But yeah, we try to keep ourselves in check with the community.
I mean, I think the issue, I don't know if we're talking like in a dream world or as it exists right now. I think the problem is once a platform grows to a certain size, having a human element in moderation is just like prohibitively expensive. I think that's why for, Jesus, over a decade, when did Steam start automating their bans? I think having like human people involved in every single moderation action just becomes prohibitively expensive for any sufficiently large tech company, I think.
But we need the protection of human interpretation in order to secure free speech. I mean, without free speech, we really have nothing at all. It's like pretty much the only thing that matters.
I mean, well, I think there's a lot of things that matter besides free speech. But I guess the question becomes like, is it a company's job to safeguard what I guess we're using in common parlance free speech, because we're not really talking about the First Amendment right now. Should it even be a company's, I guess, prerogative to guard free speech, right?
I was talking pretty much about the First Amendment.
Well, the First Amendment says nothing for being banned on like Twitter or YouTube, right?
Well, because of like the whole private company thing.
Well, because it's not the government thing, right?
Yeah, but you don't have to be the government to censor.
Well, no, but you're violating their free speech by demanding that they're not allowed to censor, right? That's the whole point of having freedom of speech, is that the government shall make no law abridging somebody's freedom of speech. If Twitter doesn't want to host your speech, Twitter has the right to do that.
Censorship goes far beyond like just, I mean,
These are not people.
companies, look, here's the thing. It doesn't matter if it's just the government. I mean, censorship can happen at a non-governmental level.
Yeah, but then it wouldn't be the First Amendment, because the First Amendment is about the government. If we want to talk about other types of censorship, we can, but the government is governed by the First Amendment, right?
Well, the term government really means mind control. You know, mente is like Latin, I think, for mind, and govern is Latin for control. So, like, look at what the system of control is. And at this state, it's an algorithmic code or multitude of codes that are governing the way we behave. So you could make an argument that we would amend the Constitution to include other forms of government than the political
well, when
system.
Clarence Thomas has a brief that he writes to the Supreme Court about whether or not the government is mind control, I'll take a look at that, I guess.
You tell him, Ian. But I think we're learning right now with Twitter specifically that free speech is popular. And when we look at the censorship of speech, it is the government's hand in these companies. And they know that it's not profitable for them to destroy someone's speech. And this is what they've been doing. They've been going to YouTube. They've been going to Facebook. They've been going to Alphabet and all these companies and saying, you know what, we're going to make sure that you guys are going to lose business and we're going to silence people because we don't like them. And I think right now Twitter is certainly challenging that notion that speech needs to be protected, needs to be censored, because I think they're doing better than ever. I think the platform is thriving. I enjoy the platform personally myself, speaking from a biased perspective, but I think they're really showing and leading the way, saying free speech is the answer, and it could also be profitable and it could also be successful at the same time, allowing a perfect harmony of profit and respect of individuals to speak their mind.
I think something that I spoke about earlier, real quick, was when we have these conversations, I think it's very important that we're firmly rooted in reality. And conservatives have this mantra that they, I guess, repeat to themselves at midnight in the mirror with all the lights turned off, that go woke, go broke, go woke, go broke, go woke. It's not true.
It is true.
It's absolutely not true.
It is
These
true.
companies online that are
Vanguard just pulled back and said, after a decade of pursuing ESG, is the third most powerful investment firm in the world. We are leaving ESG.
We're not
ESG.
Woke. We're not talking
Yeah,
about
it
ESG.
is.
Please, God,
this is what
let's not do
woke
finance
is.
up here. Okay?
Environmental,
We're not talking about
social
ESG.
governance.
The reality
what do you
is
think social is?
The reality is that online, having aggressive moderation platforms that are trying to ban speech that a lot of you guys want to protect, that I want to protect, that I think is cool to protect, is actually a pretty profitable decision. If it wasn't, they wouldn't do it.
What about in
Can I ask you a
publishing? What about in publishing, not in social media? What about censorship in publishing?
I don't know as much about books.
If a
and publishing,
private
actually.
company is acting on behalf of the government in censoring speech, is that a violation of the First Amendment?
If the government was telling people to censor people, I guess
That
it
is
could
what
be.
happened with Twitter over the last
Well,
2 years.
we saw that. Sure. So we saw that with the Twitter files, that is absolutely not the case. If you actually read any of them, past the actual tweets, the government was not making explicit requests to censor political speech on Twitter. That did not happen.
Patently false. It's patently false. It's patently false. Is it okay for the government to ask a company to censor?
Well, it depends on what the censorship request is for.
No,
If it's for stuff
that
if
is
it's
a
for
yes or
stuff
no
that-
question.
Listen,
Is it
I-
okay for the government to ask a company to censor?
It depends on what you're trying to censor. If it's somebody making a death threat, yeah, that's probably okay. If it's pictures of Hunter Biden's cock, which I know you guys are all real excited about, it's probably okay. Yeah, it depends on what the censorship request is. Yeah.
So, okay, keep going with that. So when a journalistic output is withheld from disclosing a story that could be detrimental to a presidential candidate, and they did not carry that same treatment to the other side, and it was not just Hunter Biden's cock, it was the fact that there was a potential that there was illegal drugs, there was underage prostitutes, there was a whole slew.
There was influence peddling.
It's his son. Who gives a shit about his son who's involved in his business dealings, who gets $50,000 a month working for Burisma in a country that we have a proxy state set up in? How is that not involved with Biden? Are you kidding me?
And there are major
So the
polls and
reality
studies.
So the reality is, and I highly encourage you guys to read the Twitter files because I don't think anybody up here actually has. If you actually read the emails where they discuss banning content, it wasn't the government told us to censor this story. The government never made a request to Twitter to censor the Hunter Biden story. That was testified to under oath multiple times by multiple people at Twitter. It is not the case that that story was censored because of the government. It was a complicated internal conversation that Twitter had amongst themselves. You can read the conversations. They're
So
published in
basically
the
what
emails.
you're saying is that Twitter self-censored.
Yes.
So a climate of self-censorship does come from a government level.
No.
Yes, it comes
No,
from
it doesn't.
government intimidation. Yes, it does.
Were there or were there?
Hold on.
This is
If
historic.
it came from government intimidation, why did Twitter only adhere to like 37% of the requests the government actually made?
Just because they didn't go along with 100%, according to your
Oh,
data
come on.
here,
No, so the
that
government
doesn't
can
mean
only
it.
intimidate you 37% of the time?
I think it's a valid question.
No,
and
it's
I
not a
think
valid question. That
yes,
was
it is.
ridiculous.
No,
If an
it's not
FBI
at all.
agent is outside
and I think
my house,
I think that
and I
we
have
see
had-
that there was government intimidation at Twitter, and I think that you can see that in the Twitter files.
No, you
I
can't.
think
Where?
that you saw that with
Where do you see
regard
that
to. I don't have it in front of me.
Okay, well, I read them, okay?
Okay.
And I'm telling you that they did not intimidate them. I have had conversations with the FBI. If the FBI was outside my house, they're going to intimidate me more than 37%
Can I
of
ask
the
you a
time.
question? Were there any emails in the Twitter files between a government actor, bureaucracy, or elected official and Twitter's executive team?
Yes.
Is that not highly problematic when the requests coming from government involved political candidates? Yes or no?
It depends on the request. If it's to
How?
if it's to
Does not
send-
matter.
How?
Do you think it is essential that uncensored pictures of Hunter Biden's dick remain on Twitter?
When he's
Answer
the
that question.
son,
Answer that
yes.
question. Okay,
When he
that's
is
where
the
we're at right now. That's
son,
where the conversation is right now.
it's
Okay.
the New York Post. It's not like it's the porn outlet that's posting these pictures. The second oldest journalistic output in
Well,
the
no, no, you
United
just played
States broke a story. Government emailed Twitter's executive team what happened 2 weeks out from the election. Then they delete the story of the New York Post.
So-
How is that not
The New
a
York
company
Post-
acting on behalf of the government to violate the First Amendment of a journalist? How is that not the case?
Because Twitter never said that they deleted that post because of the government.
And you
Okay,
believe
okay,
them?
I just want to clarify.
What do you
Hold
mean
on,
I
hold
believe
on,
them?
hold on.
You're reporting from the Twitter files. What are you citing?
Let's stop screaming. Let's try to understand each other and because we're getting a little bit crazy. We're getting a little
Real quick,
rambunctious.
just so we're on
let's
the
get,
same
let's
page.
get a little civil.
How many people up here actually read the actual tweets, not just the headline?
Thank you, Matt Taibbi.
Okay, so we've got two people.
Okay, but we got a special guest joining us. But I just want to ask you the question.
Steven requested
They told
that we had
me-
Alex on tonight, so I thought,
They told me to get here at 8 o'clock. I didn't even go on stage at 8. So I'm only 30 seconds late. Sorry.
Alex, do you think that what was the exact question? Do you think that there's things that should be censored online, Alex? I guess, how do you want to ask it, Steven? How would you ask Alex this, where we're at right now?
I'm not even sure what I would ask Alex right now.
I would just go back to 5 years ago where violent threats, specifically calling for violence, which is illegal already, and child porn and stuff like that, and people's hacked personal information. Those things are illegal. Things that are illegal are illegal.